Right fellas, so a couple of videos ago I went down London and picked up a Sierra Cosworth engine. I paid £5 for it. Now first off, a lot of people were a bit surprised by the price. I got a lot of people who know Cosworth, so kind of like it's a fair price, and a lot of people who maybe don't understand the Cosworth market. £5 for a 4-wheel drive Sierra Cosworth engine is not a bad price in my eyes anyway. Some of you were a bit surprised how much I paid, but to me £5 isn't a bad price. On the last couple of videos I stripped it down to a bare block, and today we're going to find out if there's any life left in the engine, because as you rebuild these engines you machine parts, like you'll machine the crank and that'll take a little bit off the diameter. You can only do so much with them. Like when you take the head off you have to machine the head, and once they get under a certain thickness the head's no good. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how much life is left in this engine that I went down London and paid £5 for. So let's head over and start with the head. So let's check the cylinder head. Now if you check in the cylinder head, it's no good using a tape measure. You want at least one of these. This is called a vernier caliper. You want at least one of these to check the cylinder head. Now I've got Escort and Sierra Cosworth workshop manual on my phone. It's about 900 pages. I will leave it linked below if you want to check it out for yourself. But it says a brand new cylinder head from Ford or on a car should be 138.68 millimeters between the mating surfaces. So that is from this bottom face here to the top face here where your rocker cover would sit. So we're going to check it in a couple of places. So we'll get our vernier and we'll put this on here. If we can, we might have to go on the top bit here. And that is measuring 138.6, and it should be 138.68 from new from Ford. I'm going to say that is unskimmed. It just happens to be slightly undersized from the factory because they do have a tolerance. Right, let's flip the head over and we'll check the other end, make sure it's flat. So yet again we're checking for 138.68 millimeters. 138.66. So we'll check this bit. That is 138.68. Did you? Spot on. Right, now one thing I did notice on the head fellas, once I turned the camshafts over, there is some rust on the camshafts. I don't know what I'm going to do about camshafts yet, because I do plan to get at least 500 brake out of this engine. So I will speak to some people in the know and see what they recommend for camshafts. But maybe these will clean up, maybe we'll replace them, I don't know. But overall, I'm very happy. I'm over the moon actually. We have this cylinder head, brand new, unskimmed. Hopefully, I don't know, but the faces look alright. So maybe we might not have to skim it. We might be able to leave it and put it back on, I don't know. Like I say, I'll speak to some people in the know because I've never built an engine before. But let's check the block and let's hope it's as good as the cylinder head. Right, so have I bitten off more than I can chew with this engine? I hope not. It's going to take some serious balls to get this engine back to 100%. But thanks to Manscaped's 4.0 package, my balls no longer look like an overgrown garden. So the main part of the package is Manscaped's lawnmower. This is their 4th generation shaver that has a replaceable ceramic blade to avoid those painful nicks that we all know happens, fellas. Also included with the lawnmower are some attachments for if you want different length grass. It's also got a spotlight, a 7,000 RPM motor and a wireless charging system. It is also totally waterproof. The performance package also comes with Manscaped's Weed Whacker. This is for your ears and your nose to get rid of those horrible hairs that as you get older start to creep out. In the package you also get Manscaped's Crop Preserver, which is the anti-chafing ball deodorant designed for after the bath or shower. You also get the Crop Reviver, which is the ball toner, and a disposable shaving mat. When you use my promo code Adam Smith just here, you'll also get 20% off and free shipping. You'll also get a free travel bag worth £30 and Manscaped's anti-chafing boxer shorts. So to get your Manscaped order, click the link in the description of this video or the top pinned comment and get 20% off your Manscaped order and free shipping. Let's get back to measuring the engine. So for those that don't know, this is a 200 engine block. It is the most common block, Cosworth block, that people use for big brake horsepower builds. There is a stronger block, but it's only found in the RS 500 and they're hard to come by and they're very expensive. So people generally will use a 200 block engine for a big brake horsepower build. Right, so here's a crankshaft. It's still in the block. I've left it in the block for safekeeping so it doesn't get damaged. Now we've got two diameters we need to check. We've got where the piston's attached to, like the con rods, on this part of the crank. Then we need to check this pit where the crank connects to the block. So there's two different diameters. This point here should be about it's 51.99 millimeters standard. If it's being ground, they take off 0.25 of a millimeter. So if it's standard, it'll be just under 52 millimeters. If it's being ground, it'll be 51.75. If it's on a second grind, it'll be 51.5 millimeters. After that, you kind of need a new crank. So we'll measure this and hopefully it's around 52 millimeters where the con rod or the connecting rod connects to the crankshaft. Right, so here's the first one. 51.9 millimeters. So this crank doesn't look like it's ever been ground. Spin it around, we'll check this one here. This will be cylinder number 2. 51.9 millimeters. 51.9 millimeters. Then we'll get the last one. 51.9 millimeters. Right, so we've just checked these bits here. This is where your pistons connect to your crankshaft. Next we're going to check where your crankshaft connects to your block. Right, so this should measure just under 57 millimeters. And if it's being ground, it drops down by 1/4 of a milli each time. 56, so that is standard, that has never been ground, the crank. Right, so that's brilliant news. It looks like the crank has never been ground. Everything is standard sizes, but I think it's going to need grinding because this end journal here is slightly scored, the bearing. If you look, has got some grooves in it. And it's gone through onto the crank, if you can feel it. So I think this crank will need grinding. So we'll take 0.25 of a millimeter off this diameter, then you just get some oversized shells to go in the carriers. One more thing to check is we're going to check the bore diameter. We'll spin this engine over. Right, let's check the bore diameter. The bore diameter, as standard, should be 90.8 millimeters. So let's get our vernier and give it a check. .34, 91.3, 91.3, 91.3, 91.3. Right fellas, I hope you enjoyed that. It does look like, I've had another look and it does look like my cylinder head is going to need a skim. There is some slight corrosion, pretty common on a Cosworth head. So hopefully maybe we'll be able to weld the corrosion up and just get it skimmed and keep it near enough the original height. But listen, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to follow along with this engine build, don't forget to subscribe and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.